Okay, want to do another car audio related old school video. This one on the this is the set of components. I have one set running, and then this is a backup set I have. This is my rear stage in the Suburban. Um, they're not a particularly high end. Uh, the ones I use up front are it's a much nicer set. It's an old Lanzar, and that's mostly what I'm going to hear anyway. So this is just kind of there. It puts out quality sound, really good sound. This would be an excellent set if somebody was running like a real small amplifier. So if I ever do incorporate like one of those Orion 240 GXs, that I'll probably run it with this because it would be a really good pairing. Because these are the 6CW-1, and it's a 6.5 polywoofer. It's 50 watts power handling, and that's probably all it is. But they're really efficient. They put out a lot of sound with a little bit of power, and it's clean. The tweeter, I don't think this actually came. I don't know. I don't know if it came with this or not, or if this set was put together because it's kind of from the same time period. But this tweeter it's not silk dome and it's not titanium. It's just like a composite. It's just like a plastic tweeter. Um, and then the crossovers, they're pretty straightforward. They're a little chunky, so it's kind of hard to fit them in some tight areas. Um, they're the XO2 two-way crossover. That one nice feature on them though is that the tweeter, depending on where you hook the negative, gives you a selection of output, which is real nice. And then here's the 6.5. It's got it's not a foam surround. This is a rubber surround, and then it's polycone, and you can see it's just got the JL Audio logo on the back, kind of a sticker. You can see it's not vented, but yeah, just pretty straightforward 6.5. This isn't this. I'm sure this wasn't one of their like higher ends, um, but it's quality component. It's just from the lower end. And then I wanted to show a couple of things other than this. Every time I show somebody my amp collection, they always gravitate towards one model, and that's this one, the Precision Power Pro MOS-425. It is a really nice looking amp, which all their I don't call this the art series. It does have the Carol Hall Young artwork on it. I think of the A series, like the A600, the A404, the A1200. I consider that the art series. Um, this is just I don't know. I would This actually existed at the same time. They sold these um, in like this style heatsink, which was their older style heatsink, like the M and the AM, and even previous to those two, but they were. I think all of those were black. The original ones that didn't have a letter designation after it. Um, but this they were selling this model in this heatsink, I think through '94, which means it would have coexisted with like the A amplifiers. Um, it's uh, what they call the cheater amp, which just means that they've dropped the rail voltage, allowing it to do its power at a lower ohm load. So you can see here, this thing's just rated 4 channels at 25 watts a channel, into a 4 ohm load, and this amp's capable of a lot more than that. I would suspect this is probably, if you bridge the two, somewhere around 300. I would like to see one of these dynoed. And it's hard to say. I always thought that when an amplifier was in a certain series of amps, that they were just pretty much all the same, except for their output. But I found that varying models, throughout a series, like for example the Orions, the 225, if you're gonna get an amp, as a cheater amp, you would want that over the 250. Now the 250 puts out more power, but it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be double. But if you buy two 225s, it's way more power than one 250. So and so that's why I'm wondering on this too, is like, is this two ProMOS 225s, or is this a completely different beast? I really don't know. I haven't seen numbers on this particular model. Um, they're really excellent sounding amplifiers. I and this is another thing I'm kind of curious about. I mean, the whole MOS, um, in the in the name is for MOSFET, and to me this sounds more like a bipolar amp, like the Orion digital reference. So I'm kind of curious as to if that's the case or not. I'll probably do a little gut shot video on this at some time. Want to do a linear power that I have and do a gut shot on that, because that one's kind of got a little surprise in there. It's kind of neat that I want to show. But maybe I'll check the transistors then to see what they are. Because what my suspicion is that the power supply in this uses MOSFET and MOSFET transistors, and that the output stage uses bipolar. But I don't know that to be true. It's just the sound of it, because bipolar definitely has a different sound, and that goes for home audio as well. I mean, if you get an amp with just with the bipolar transistors, it'll have a different sound. It's not dramatic, but I don't know. To me, it seems like I don't know. I couldn't put a finger on the difference, but it's just a little bit different. Um, there's really not much to show on this amp other than the artwork, which is really nice. And two, it's amazing to me that so many of these had the artwork like damaged or rubbed off, because the paint on these is extremely tough. So it's not flaky. Like the power class amps, to find one of those in mint condition is not easy, because it flakes off. It didn't adhere well to the aluminum. But this is, I mean, it's pretty rock solid. And then I'll show you the end of the amplifier. I have both plugs, but they're the other one's not currently plugged in here. And then it's got two negative 4 gauge and two. No, that'd be 8 gauge. Sorry. So dual 8 gauge power and ground. Then on the other side, straightforward. It's just 4-channel. You got your Made in the USA power, your DIN plug, rear, and then a rear gain, and then the front inputs and the front gain. So it's real straightforward, no crossovers, no processing on this. It's a fairly heavy amplifier, but yeah, for whatever reason, people really gravitate towards this. Like, oh, what's that one? This is the only one I have of like this. I've been trying to get my hands on a 450, and I would like to get one of those. And if I can, that's one of the next ones I want to check off the list. And the gut shots on those are pretty amazing. They're just a ton of transistors lining either side of that board. It's kind of something to see. And then just real quick, I'll show the linear power, but I want to do a full video on that, because it is a weird amplifier. I'd like to, hopefully somebody that has information on it and its history will let me know, but it's just a strange beast. It's the 2602, and it's like bi-amplified stereo power amplifier, 120 watts RMS, but it's got 3 channels, and it's basically you run 2 to your interiors, and then the other one to a subwoofer, and it puts out double what those two. So I don't know if it's just a 4-channel amp and they bridge the rear two. I don't know. I'll crack this thing open and show you. Um, yeah, and then it's going to be kind of an interesting video because this amp's, it's just a little weird how it's all set up. But too, you got to remember how old this amp was. They didn't really, amps kind of just got um, a standard look to them in the way that they were, made. And when this one was produced, which I believe it was production started in '84. I mean, they didn't really know what an amp looked like. They were just, it was just kind of, car audio was just starting to come into its own. So, well, that's it for this video. And then, yeah, just, check back and I'll have, some other ones. I'll probably do a gut shot of that and that in the same video.